You were not born average. You were taught to be. The average man is not a mistake. He is a product, built by lies, fed daily, defended by the very people he trusts most. His parents repeat the lies. His teachers repeat the lies. His friends repeat the lies. And by the time he is old enough to question them, the lies have already become his voice. 11 of those lies are about money, about wealth, about what it takes to rise. One man saw them 500 years ago. He watched princes and merchants build empires on the backs of men who believed exactly what they were told. He wrote the truth down, and the world has been quietly burying him for it ever since. His name was Niccolo Machiavelli. If you believe even 3 of these lies, you are exactly where the system wants you. Machiavelli was not a moralist, he was a witness. He spent his life separating 2 things that most men confuse forever: appearance and reality. The world runs on 2 stories, the one told to the herd, and the one lived by the few. The herd is told to work hard, the few are taught to own. The herd is told to be patient, the few are taught when to strike. The herd is told to be humble, the few are taught to rule. Every lie you are about to hear was planted on purpose, by schools, by parents, by bosses, by screens, not by accident, by design. Because a man who believes these lies is a man who works without question, spends without thought, and dies without inheritance. To stop being average, you do not need more effort. You need fewer lies. Lie number 1. Hard work makes you rich. You have heard it since you were a child, from men who worked their whole lives and died with nothing. They repeat it because if it is not true, then their lives were spent on a lie they cannot afford to admit. Hard work does not make you rich. Hard work makes you tired. Direction makes you rich. Leverage makes you rich. Ownership makes you rich. The mule works harder than the master. The mule pulls the plow from sunrise to sunset. The master watches from the hill. And when the harvest comes, the mule is fed enough to work again tomorrow, while the master keeps the field. You have been told to admire the mule. Machiavelli would tell you to study the master. Effort without direction is just exhaustion dressed as virtue. The herd dies tired. The prince dies free. Lie number 2. Money is the root of all evil. This is the lie that keeps the poor poor, and proud of it. It is whispered in churches, repeated in schools, hammered into children before they ever earn a coin. And it does exactly what it was designed to do. It makes the herd suspicious of the very thing that could free them. Money is not the root of evil. Money is a mirror. It magnifies what you already are. A cruel man with money becomes cruel at scale. A generous man with money becomes generous at scale. A weak man with money simply has more weakness to spend. The herd is taught to fear the mirror because they are afraid of what it would show. The prince looks into it without flinching. You were not corrupted by wanting wealth. You were corrupted by being told that wanting it makes you bad. Lie number 3. Save your way to wealth. Save the change. Skip the coffee. Cut the small things. Watch it grow. It sounds wise. It is a leash. You cannot save your way out of a game designed to inflate your savings into dust. Every year, the value of the coin in your pocket quietly shrinks, while the assets of the rich quietly swell. You are not saving money. You are watching it die slowly in a jar. The prince does not save. He deploys. Every coin he holds is asked one question: what will you build for me? Coins that cannot answer are sent to work elsewhere. Saving feels safe because it feels controlled. But the man who only saves has already agreed to lose. Slowly, politely, permanently. The herd protects pennies and forfeits empires. The prince spends pennies and builds them. Lie number 4. Go to school. Get a good job. This is the script that built 100 years of obedient labor. It is the most successful piece of marketing in human history. Sold by governments, echoed by parents, defended by the very system it feeds. And the men who designed it never sent their own sons through it the same way. School teaches you to be hired. It does not teach you to hire. It teaches you to follow instructions. It does not teach you to write them. It teaches you to answer the question on the page. It never asks who wrote the page or why. The prince was not taught. He was trained. Trained to read men. Trained to read markets. Trained to read silence. Trained to ask what no classroom would ever ask. Who profits from this lesson? You were given a transcript. He was given a doctrine. The herd graduates. The prince inherits. Lie number 5. Follow your passion. It is the sweetest lie of the modern age. It feels like freedom. It feels like permission. It feels like the universe finally telling you what you wanted to hear. It is a trap. Passion without leverage is a hobby. Passion without demand is a diary. Passion without skill is a child shouting into the wind. The prince does not follow his passion. He studies demand. He finds where the world is bleeding for a solution. He masters that solution until no man can match him. And then, and only then, does he let passion follow the money home. Because passion built on mastery is power. Passion built on feelings is poverty. You were told to chase what you love. The prince hunts what the world cannot live without, and learns to love it on the way. One ends in regret, the other ends in dynasty. Lie number 6. Rich people are just lucky. This is the herd's favorite anesthetic. It is whispered in break rooms, shouted on screens, defended at every dinner table where a poor man needs to feel less small. Because if the rich are lucky, then the poor are absolved. If the rich are lucky, then nothing was missed. No book unread, no risk untaken, no skill unbuilt. Luck is the lie the unprepared tell themselves about the harvest of the prepared. The prince does not deny luck. He simply outworks it. He studies until the moment of luck finds a man ready to use it. He builds until the opportunity finds a man who can hold it. He waits until the storm hands its keys to a man who already knows the doors. The herd waits for luck. The prince builds the conditions in which luck has no choice but to arrive. One waits to be chosen. The other becomes impossible to ignore. Lie number 7. Do not talk about money. It is rude. This is the greatest psychological cage ever built. You were taught it before you could spell. Do not ask what your father earns. Do not ask what your friend pays. Do not ask what your boss is worth. Polite people do not discuss money. Educated people do not bring it up. That silence is not manners. It is a strategy. Silence about money keeps the herd ignorant of the gap. It hides what your boss makes off your labor. It hides what your landlord makes off your rent. It hides what the system makes off your obedience. The man who cannot discuss money cannot calculate his own theft. The prince speaks of money openly behind closed doors. He learns. He compares. He measures. He moves. The herd is taught silence and calls it grace. The prince knows that silence about money is the first chain, and he is the one who hands you the lock. Lie number 8. Trust the system. It will take care of you. The pension, the retirement, the safety net, the promise that if you behave, if you contribute, if you wait, the system will catch you at the end. These are promises made by men who will be dead long before the bill comes due. The system does not love you. The system uses you. It needs your decades of quiet labor to fund the comfort of those who designed it. And when it can no longer pay, it will simply rewrite the rules and tell you that the deal you signed was never quite what you thought. The prince trusts no system he did not build. He builds his own retirement, his own safety, his own net. He never assumes a man in a distant office is guarding his old age. He guards it himself, in assets that answer to him alone. The herd waits for a check that may never come. The prince writes his own. Lie number 9. You need money to make money. This lie kills more empires before they begin than any other. It convinces a young man that the gate is closed before he has even walked to it. That without capital there is no game. That without inheritance there is no rise. That without funding there is no future. It is a lie. You do not need money to make money. You need leverage. And capital is only one form of it. Knowledge is leverage. The right book in the right mind moves more money than most men touch in a lifetime. Attention is leverage. A man who can hold the eyes of a crowd can build wealth from air. Time is leverage. The young man who starts at 20 and never stops will pass the old man who waited until 40, no matter how much money the old man brings. You already own 3 of the 4 forms of leverage. You were just told to wait for the 4th. The prince does not wait. He starts with what he has, and the capital arrives to meet him. Lie number 10. Stay humble. Do not want too much. Humility is a virtue. Smallness is a sentence. The herd is taught to confuse the two on purpose. so it never reaches for more, so it never asks for more, so it never builds more than the system has assigned it. The man who wants too much is called arrogant, the man who wants too little is called wise, and the gate stays locked for another generation. True humility is honesty about your limits. False humility is dishonesty about your potential. The prince is humble in the face of truth. He is ruthless in the face of ceiling. He does not apologize for wanting an empire. He does not shrink to make smaller men comfortable. He does not call ambition a sin to keep peace with the herd. You were told to want less, so the men above you could keep more. Refuse the lesson. Smallness is not virtue. It is obedience in a costume. Lie number 11. The deepest one. This is just how life is. This is the final cage. The lie that ends all rebellion before it begins. It is whispered by tired men to younger men who still have fire. This is just how life is. This is just how the world works. This is just how it has always been. Sit down. Accept it. Stop fighting. It is not true. Life is not a fixed thing. It is a negotiation. And the herd has never read the contract. Every rule you accept was written by someone. Every ceiling you bow to was placed by someone. Every limit you obey was a choice made by men long dead, and you have never once asked if it still applies to you. The prince reads the contract. Then he rewrites it. He does not accept the world as it is. He accepts the world as it can be bent, and he spends his life bending it, quietly, patiently, permanently. The herd inherits a world it never questioned. The prince inherits a world he reshaped. Count how many of those 11 lies you believed this morning. That number is the distance between you and the man you could become. Average is not your nature. It is your inheritance. An inheritance can be refused. Every lie unlearned tonight is a chain cut. And chains, once cut, cannot be welded back. You will hear these lies again tomorrow, from your family, from your friends, from your coworkers, from the screens you scroll, and for the first time in your life, you will hear them as lies. That is the cost of this video. The people closest to you will defend these lies harder than anyone, not because they hate you, because your awakening is their indictment. The day you rise is the day they must answer why they did not. You will lose comfort. You will lose company. You will lose the version of yourself that fit in. You will gain everything else. You are not average. You were just taught to behave as if you were. If even one of those lies died in you tonight, the channel did its work. Subscribe quietly. Do not announce it. Princes do not perform. The next video names the men who taught you these lies and what they built on your obedience. Before you leave, answer this in the comments. Which lie did your own family teach you first? The man who answers honestly is already halfway through the gate.